What is up, guys? You're back with another YouTube video. Today we are going to talk about some severe weather happening in the next few days here. And we're going to make sure you guys stay weather aware in the next few days here. So today we do have an enhanced risk of severe weather here in these areas. Here, if you are in affected areas in the enhanced risk include Chicago, Illinois, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Toledo, Ohio, Fort Wayne, Indiana, and Naperville, Illinois. So persons in those areas need to be very weather aware today here for extreme winds, tornadoes, and even damaging gusts with this today. Also, there is a slight risk of severe weather today, with affected areas being Detroit, Michigan, Indianapolis, Indiana, Columbus, Ohio, and Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania here. And the slight risk of severe weather. There's also another slight risk of severe weather. So persons in Rapid City, Fargo, Grand Forks, Minot, Bismarck, Dickinson, and Grand Forks and Rapid City here need to be very weather aware for some supercells forming with some big time hailers today in these areas here. And maybe even a potential tornado threat today. Now the tornado outlook, there is a 5% risk of tornadoes here in these areas. So persons in these areas need to be very weather aware for a few tornadoes embedded in a line here that will form. Also another 5% area up here. So persons in these areas need to be very weather aware. Yeah, it's not high risk for tornadoes, but it's definitely there, so you need to be very weather aware here. The wind threat is a massive wind threat here with a hatched area of damaging gusts here circled in these areas. Affected areas in the hatched risk include Chicago, Illinois, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Cleveland, Ohio, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and Toledo, Ohio here in this little area in black with little white shades here. That means there's a threat for 75 miles an hour, 70 miles an hour above with this. There could be possibly up to 80 miles an hour gusts with this as a massive line-piercing damaging gust happened today. Also, the hail threat is a 15% here in Madison, Wisconsin, Fort Wayne, Ohio, Fort Wayne, Indiana, Toledo, Ohio, Chicago, Illinois, and Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So persons there need to be very well aware for a hail threat. Also, there is a hail threat up here in areas like Grand Forks, Fargo, Bismarck, Minot, Dickinson, and Rapid City today. So persons there need to be very well aware for tornadoes, wind, and hail in many of these areas today here. Also, the day 2 outlook is a smaller risk, but still there here. There is, on tomorrow, there is a slight risk of severe weather 2 out of 5 here in Grand Forks, Fargo, are some major cities that could be possibly in these areas today in the slight risk. There's also another slight risk here in Wilmington, Raleigh, Virginia Beach, and Richmond here. So persons there need to be very weather aware for a slight risk of severe weather today here. The tornado threat is definitely on the lower side, but it is still there here. So persons in these areas need to be weather aware in Des Moines, and persons down here need to also be weather aware in Baltimore, Washington, Virginia Beach, Richmond here. Need to be very well aware for an isolated tornado threat. It's only at 2%, but you do see tornadoes can happen in a 2% risk here. There also is a wind threat, a 50% area of wind here. So persons here need to be very well aware for a damaging wind threat shaded in yellow here. Also is a hail threat, not down here. The main hail threat will be up here. So persons here need to be very well aware in Grand Forks and Fargo for some significant hail here with this. So the day 3 threat is a 15% area here of a slight risk of severe weather for damaging winds, hail, and maybe even a few tornadoes with this. I know rain is in this, so we need to be very well aware. Persons in Des Moines, Green Bay, Wisconsin, Madison, Dubuque, I don't even know how to say that, sorry, La Crosse, and Eau Claire here need to be very well aware for some severe weather with this today. I meant on day 3. There's also a day 4, 15% outlook here in these areas. So persons here need to be very weather aware on day 4's outlook here for in Columbus, Ohio, Cleveland, Ohio, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Buffalo, New York, and Rochester, New York here. Need to be very well aware. Now let's take a look at the models. So what the models could look like today, we're going to look at the HRRR here. We're going to look at the dew points. So the dew points shows the moist air here and how much moisture we have in the atmosphere to provide severe weather in these areas here. So at about 7 p.m., we do have a lot of moisture up here. A lot of moisture in the 60s and 70s here. Anywhere above 60 degrees is enough moisture to support severe weather. So around here has a lot of moisture for severe weather. Also over here in the enhanced risk, there is a lot of moisture here on the southern side of the enhanced risk. Not as much. They're a little lacking a little bit up here. But there still is quite a bit down here. So that is pretty unfortunate today. There is a lot of moisture here in the atmosphere to provide here. There's up to 70s in these areas. So that is a lot of moisture. Now we're going to take a look at the composite reflectivity with this and see what the storms could look like. Remember, this is just a model. This isn't 100% accurate. This isn't going to tell us 100% what it's going to look like, but it's close to what it could look like here. So by 2 p.m., there could be some isolated cells popping up right here. That could be some hailers right there. And then some possible storms producing here. By about 7 p.m. here, we have a big storm forming here around South Bend. Here, this could produce some big time hail. So persons there need to be very well aware for some big supercell with some hail here. Also, some more storms could be forming here around Rapid City. And then a lot of hailers forming here around here. So this is something to be very well aware about here at around 8 p.m. Central Daylight Time. Here in about 9 p.m., there's some more cells forming here, some big-time winds and hail with this active. And if this does form into a big line, which this model isn't showing that, but if this does form into a big line, we could be seeing a ton of damaging wind gusts here. But they're only showing, not in this area, a lot of severe thunderstorms, but a lot of activity in this area. But we'll see if the HRRR model is right or not. And then around 10 p.m., some big hailers forming down here, active. It is a later in the day event here. Then about by 1 a.m., a lot of hailers. So persons here in these areas need to be very well aware at night and make sure they have their alerts on, as this could be a lot of storms forming in these areas by 4 a.m. here. And a lot of even some major storms in these areas with significant wind damage here. So something you really need to keep an eye out. Now we're going to look at the 850 millbar wind speeds here. Sorry, not 800, 500 millbar winds here to see if there is any, if there is a trough here. So there is an active trough ejection here. So a big trough ejection forming over the northwest here, and that when that has in a trough projection typically provides very, very dry and cool air here, and when that collides with the moist air over here and the moist risk over here area over here, typically when they do collide, that does provide severe weather in these areas. That's why they did issue an enhanced risk of severe weather today after there is a big trough ejection here. Then we are going to take a look at the 800 millbar wind speeds to see if we have anything to support tornadoes here. So by about 11 p.m., we do have a little bit of energy to support tornadoes here from the 850 millbar wind speeds here around these areas. Could have some some tornadic activity, maybe a few tornadoes embedded in a line here, as there is a little bit of that here. Also, there is a little bit of it down here to support maybe some tornado activity here. And the main threats of tornadoes will be up in these areas up there. So yeah, that's something you really need to be keeping an eye out on today. Now we're going to take a look at the surfaced base CAPE here, the CAPE, convective available potential energy here. We do have a lot of energy, a lot of CAPE forming in these areas. This is a ton of energy for storms today. By around 7 p.m., we have a ton of CAPE, up to 5,000 JKG here, and even some 2,000s forming up to here. So we have a ton of CAPE in these areas to support big-time storm formation, and a lot of CAPE up here, too, to support storms. That's why they do have these risks up here. And CAPE means convective available potential energy. I like to call it energy to support thunderstorm formation here. If we do look at the supercell composite, we do have some supercell composite in these areas up in this little tornado potential. That's why they do have a 5% risk of tornadoes, because there could be supercells with big hailers here. That's why so there is a lot of energy to support hailers with this today, I meant. Now, I hope you guys, we are going to end this video here. Make sure to be very weather aware if you are in these areas today, guys. This is not a joke. This is a serious situation. I hope you guys did like this video. I hope this helped you guys, and bye, guys.